Yes.
Four lemons. Four
I
lemons
love
in here.
it. Good job. It's the best way to start your day.
Absolutely.
I love the analogy that you gave us a while ago that lemons are like detergent for our lymphatic system.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
easy. Such a simple
Yeah.
thing everyone can do. I love it. It's so powerful.
Drink your detergent.
Yes. We need it.
Are we ready to rock and roll today?
We sure are. Let's do it.
Great, great. So I know if anybody that wasn't on last week's meetup, I talked about downloading a chart, a tapping chart. So if anybody is new to this, just later what you can do is I'm going to be referring to tapping EFT. And what you can do is just go to Google Images, just type in EFT tapping points or tapping points. You'll have many diagrams there, and that'll tell you exactly what pressure points to use when I'm referring to tapping. So just want to get that out there. Now today we're going to do something a little different. I want to go much deeper. Last time we kind of touched on some different things. I want to go a lot deeper on how to identify the emotions that hold us back and the emotions that will self-sabotage us. And then I'm going to show you how to clear that resistance. I call it resistance. And I'm going to use the most common reasons or the most common root causes of emotions that I see in my practice. And I'm going to walk you through those. So first of all, I wanted to just kind of let everybody know when I'm having you do these things or I'm giving you instructions on the how-tos, you have to do it in a relaxed state. It's not really going to work if you're getting the kids ready for school, or if you're trying to do something, or if you got Instagram and Facebook, and you got to block all that stuff out. So I'm going to give you some really valuable tools, but you have to give yourself some quiet time to block it out and do these activities. And I promise you'll get some really good results. But just keep in mind that you have to be in a relaxed state. You have to have some quiet time, some personal time. Even if it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you deserve 5 or 10 minutes. And if you say, well, I don't have time, then that's a problem. We all have 24 hours. It just means that you need to manage your time better, or your activities. So just keep that in mind. You have to be in a relaxed state, and you need some quiet time. So I wanted to go into about the weight. And I'm going to show you, it's very similar to if you were in my office. I'm going to take you step by step and show you how to identify. So since we're talking about weight, let's think about weight. So I want everybody that's listening right now, I want you just to think about your weight. Think about maybe how you look. Think about maybe you've been struggling for a long time. Maybe you're looking at your weight right now. Whatever it is, I want you to think about it. And then as soon as you think about it, generally, if you're in a relaxed state, maybe on this meetup you might be distracted and you can't really get in touch with your body. But when you're in a relaxed state, I want you to think about this. And when you do that, you will start to get some certain feelings. It could be an emotional feeling. It could be a physical feeling. Maybe you get emotions like you want to cry. Maybe you get a tight feeling in your chest or a tight feeling in your stomach. This is a good example of how your body holds on to emotion. Now, emotion is in the body. The body doesn't lie, and the body is the holder of the emotion. So when you get a response, that is emotion. It may not make any sense. If it's tightness in your stomach, you probably won't know what it's from. Now, this is the emotion that you would want to clear. This is the emotion that's blocking you. This is the emotion that's sabotaging you. So I want you to think about this. Emotions are very much like an onion, and they can have many layers, and they can make you cry. But yeah, think about that. They have many layers, and sometimes you have to approach them from different perspectives or different angles to really get to the root of the issue. So when I'm walking you through these processes, you want to keep that in mind, that you may need to go over it a couple of times before you totally clear and get to the root issue. So yeah, they have multiple layers. Now, once you establish this feeling, this is what you want to clear, and this is how you do it. You can simply do the tapping, the EFT. Let's say I'm sitting here and I go through the process. Okay, I think about my weight and I start feeling tightness in my chest. Now this feeling, that's what you would want to clear. And you could simply just take that chart and go through the steps, tap on your hand I have this tightness in my chest. I don't even know why it's there, but when I think about it, I'm just giving examples of what you could do. But when I'm thinking about this, it just really bums me out, or it reminds me of the kids making fun of me, in school. Whatever it is, you want to flush all this stuff out, get it out. Okay, then you feel, see if you feel different. Jump over to some other type of memory, or sometimes another emotion will come up, or sometimes, wow, now I'm getting a tight feeling in my calf, or my lower back is starting to hurt. And you just go through it again, go through the process. What you're doing is you're stripping these layers of emotions away. You're getting to the root issue of weight. So that's one way you can do that. I'm just looking at my notes here because I don't want to forget anything. Now, one thing you can do too is let's say you establish that feeling, like I felt tight feeling in my chest, I go through the process, I tap, okay, it's gone. Then you can go back and ask yourself the question, is this feeling familiar to me? You stop and think about it. Okay, either yes or no. If it is yes, then ask yourself another question, did I feel like this when I was a child? Because most emotional issues, or most of the roots, happen within the first 6 to 7 years of your life. So then you go back in. A lot of times what will happen is you'll start getting these memories popping up. You might start seeing pictures, or maybe parents fighting or going through divorce during that time. And if it happens, you just go through it again. Just keep going through the process, tapping through the process. The whole idea is you want to just keep stripping the layers until there's no more layers, until you no longer feel a sensation. Now, does it mean that you've totally removed the root cause? Maybe, maybe not. Now, sometimes what happens is the body can only handle so much, or the body can only process so much. So sometimes you might see that where, I'll have somebody come in and we remove most of the issues, and then about a month later, some other things start to pop up, but usually they're much more mild. And if that's the case, you just go through the process again. This is how you clear that resistance. You want to get rid of that resistance and clear it out. Because if you don't, you really won't get the results you want. You have to get rid of the resistance. Now, another thing I wanted to bring up is the emotions, since they're in the body does not lie. And it's important to understand, how do I identify the emotion? Is it real emotion? Now, if you get a thought in your head, well, I look disgusting. Well, no, that's just a thought. It's a rehearsed mental pattern. Versus if I think about something and I get a physical sensation, now that's real emotion. So that's one good thing to remember, is if it's in my body, if I'm getting a physical reaction, that is real emotion. If it's just a thought, then that's just my ego chattering away and just talking, and we don't have to worry about that. All that matters is, do I get a sensation in my body? If the answer is yes, then you want to clear it, you want to process it. Now, the next step I want to go over is, once you identify that feeling, that's more of like a physical, you're thinking about how you're feeling when you're thinking about your weight. Another thing to remember is, a lot of times these emotions can be more chronological. And what I mean is, you can say, okay, I'm thinking about my weight. I really want to drop some weight. And then you ask yourself, and I listed these questions, and here's where you probably want to write these questions down. Because these are typical questions that I would ask a client. So you sit down and say, okay, I want to drop some weight. I would ask, when were you at your ideal weight? When did you look your best? And you start thinking, and you go back, okay, wow, it's 15 years ago. And then I would ask, what was going on back then? Was there anything eventful? Was there any stress going on? Were there any traumas? Oh, wow, yeah, I remember, I went through divorce, or, I lost a child in death. Those are red flags. What that means is that your body connected those negative emotions to the weight. Now, here's how it works. The subconscious will not let you lose weight, because what happens is the subconscious just goes back into your database and your filing system and says, no way, I'm not going to let you lose weight, because the last time you lost weight, it was a very bad time. It was stressful, or it was traumatic. And your body will do whatever it has to do to not let you lose weight. So that's why it's so important to go back in time and find out when was I at my best, and or when did I first start gaining the weight. It's another good question. Did I experience a loss? Because sometimes your brain can connect the actual word of loss. Did you grow up poor with not enough food? Go back in your childhood. What was that like? Maybe mom was obese. Maybe dad was obese. You know, kind of dig into that. See how you feel about that. These are all ways to uncover those hidden emotions that are holding us back. And that's why a lot of diet books and programs out there don't work, because they don't go deep enough. You know, they give you all the how-tos, but we don't need any more how-tos. We have so many how-tos. But you have to get into the deeper emotional things to really get those results. Another thing is, were you heavy as a child? If so, what was that like? I guarantee you, if you were heavy as a child, you will have emotions attached to that. Maybe you went to school and kids made fun of you. Maybe your mom took you shopping to shop for school clothes. Maybe she made a comment. Maybe, you know, there's all this stuff that will come up. This is the stuff that you have to clear if you want results. One other point I want to make, and then we can we'll see what we're doing on how we're doing on time. Yeah, we're doing pretty good. Another thing to remember, this is a fascinating one. When you're in your mother's womb, you can download emotions from your mother, and that's where a lot of people where they don't understand, why can I not lose weight? I'll explain how this can happen. Let's say your mother, as a child or when she was growing up, something bad happened to her. I have a lot of people where, let's say the mother was sexually abused, something terrible like that. Well, she will gain weight to protect herself. And so that becomes a very charged emotion inside of her, and then she'll download that into the baby. Now the baby will pick up that imprint. It's called an imprint. Now that baby has that imprint basically stating that I must keep myself safe. Weight keeps me safe. I need to hide myself. I don't want to be noticed. I want to stay safe. So that little baby will have that program, and then they grow up, and then they can have weight issues as well. So that's another hidden problem that I see in people, where they just don't understand how come they're holding on to weight. And you could look at that. You know, you could have a talk with your mother and, hey, you know, what was your life like? Did you have any weight issues? And you can get some answers that way as well. And well, I wanted to kind of touch base and see if there's any questions popping up.
I have one off the top of my head, Tim. So say that did happen. And the mom's like, yeah, I had a pretty crappy childhood. Some bad things happened to me. Now, what does somebody do with that information? How do they clear that out of their system?
Now, you can clear some of it even by doing the simple tapping, because you will have an emotion about that. You know, you could ask yourself, how do I feel? Excuse me. How do I feel because this happened to my mother? How do I feel? So you're going to have some emotions about that, and then you can tap and clear that emotion. You can also just think of that subject matter. You can just think about it, and generally you will have some type of sensation, and you can clear it. There's other deeper ways that I use, but for the simplicity, you know, I'm trying to give a tool that everybody can use, where you don't need training, you don't need hands-on experience, where you can just go right in and go to work and work on yourself. But yeah, you could still clear a lot of that with the tapping.
Mm-hmm. All right, does anybody have any questions that's listening in? It seems like downloading that tapping image on Google is really going to be something everyone should do to help process it. That way they know what points to tap on and go through the process.
And I want to make that clear too. I don't want to be known as the tapping guy. It's just a tool that I have in my tool belt. And the reason I share it so much is because it's probably one of the easiest tools that I could just give somebody. I could show them how to use it, how to implement it, without having to instruct them, how to teach them. I have other tools that I use that are very powerful, but it would take training. you know, for somebody to be able to use it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's have try tapping.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking. It doesn't seem to work. Do I just need to do it? Okay, so if it's not working, more than likely you're in your head. You're in your ego too much. I would recommend take some deep breaths, maybe 10 deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. Allow your body to relax. You have to be in an alpha state. You got to drop your brainwave down into alpha for it to be more effective. Maybe you're distracted. Maybe you have too much going on. So I would try that, and you should get some results. Or a lot of times your ego will fight you. Remember, your subconscious does not want you to change. So you might get the, you know, you do a couple rounds of something and it's like, wow, I don't feel anything. It's not working. Usually you just have to go, you know, keep going, or the subject matter is too heavy. So I would go with a lighter subject matter, because sometimes people have had a lot of trauma and the body's just not ready to deal with that. So go with a smaller issue. Try there.
Mm-hmm. The last thing I'm going to ask, somebody asked, what verbiage would you use? Like, what wording would you use to go through the process? Can you just give us an example?
I always recommend address the negative. Go into the negative and just complain, and talk about the negative. So if we're talking about weight, you know, I feel terrible. I haven't been able to lose weight. Just like you're talking to a friend, I just say talk and tap, talk and tap. That's the easiest way then to try to get some specific, you know, magical phrase. It doesn't matter. I would just say, just be honest and express yourself. Get all the negative out. I hate the way I look. I'm so frustrated. I'm tired of this, you know, and just get it all out. That's probably the best way. Just flush it all out.
Mm-hmm. So really expressing it and then doing the points is going to help get it out of our nervous system and bring it up from our subconscious and digest it. And
then the best way to know if you still have emotion, only listen to your body. Don't listen to your head. Listen to your body. How do I feel inside? If I feel neutral, problem solved. If I still feel something, then go back again. You know, I still feel a little bit in my stomach. I'm sure I can let that go. You know, you just go through and just keep going through the process.
Mm-hmm. So I guess the biggest question everyone's asking is what spots? Simply Google tapping. Google images, and you'll get no shortage of, it's like here, here, here.
I like to start here. This is connected to the small and large intestine. You got bladder, you have gallbladder, you have stomach. And then I go on the nose and the mouth, and then down, it's called the sore spot. I call it the collarbone. So there's many other ones. I mean, they're all over your fingers, but it's overkill. If you know, I just keep it simple. And those are the ones I use.
Well, we really appreciate your time, Tim, truly. This is a big subject matter, and a lot of people have been holding a lot of emotional junk for a long time, not knowing how to process it. So I think a lot of us have homework ahead of us, and we will delve in deeper next time. And I also will get some feedback from everyone and see how they feel doing this process.
Great.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.